guys, welcome to today's video. Make sure you visit podcastformarketers.com for more information. Over there, I have a really kick-ass course on how you can make at least a few grand a month on simple reoccurring revenue, right? And that's called Freedom Funnels. And make sure that you like this video and subscribe to my channel, man. I'm put out videos every day, so you don't want to miss what I put up, because I put out some pretty kick-ass content. And man, I always want you guys to comment below, man. I absolutely love all the comments you guys bring. Let me know what you're thinking. If you have any questions, I'm always in the comment section. I really love the community. Let's get into the video. All right, guys. Today we're going to talk very quickly about how to get more relevant Facebook ads, relevance score, right? So I don't know if you know this or not, but when you put your ad out, when you look at your metrics, there is a relevance score, and it's anywhere between 1 and 10. Okay, and whether or not your ad is resonating with your audience, Facebook knows this. They take a look at a couple things, right? So just to kind of loosely put this together, first of all, they look at the copy that's in your ad. They also look at the copy that's in your landing page, all right? And then they look at your audience, and they look and see how engaged they are with that ad. Are they clicking on the ad? Are they clicking on the read more? If you've noticed, you'll get all kind of like clicks that you're like, well, where are all these clicks? Because they're not actually clicking on my link. So when you're looking at your scores, you're like, well, I'm not getting 0 clicks to my website, but what are all these other clicks that I'm seeing? Like you'll see, 20 other clicks. Well, that is people engaging with your ad. They're clicking to stop it. They're opening it. They're scrolling through it. They're saving it, shit like that, right? They're also saying, well, I don't want to see this anymore, or things of that nature, right? So they're seeing and they're engaging, and then they're actually commenting, liking, or sharing the ad, right? That's also engagement that they count, okay? So whether or not your audience, and Facebook finds this out really fast, if they're really liking and engaging with your ad, depends on whether you get crappy traffic, okay, or whether you get the good stuff, all right? Now, what's the difference between crappy traffic and the good stuff? Well, what's going to happen is you already know that when you get an auction on Facebook, okay? Now, you're going to bid and say, I want to pay 30 cents a click to get people to go to my website. Now, what's going to happen is if you have a high relevancy score, Facebook is going to say, all right, we're going to let you win that auction because you're the most relevant. And they're going to give you a reward by saying, we're going to give you cheap ad cost because we want our users. Remember, Facebook is kind of like the Gestapo. We talked about this, right? So Facebook is like, we want our users to have a good experience. We want them to be getting the most out of your ads. So remember, you kind of got to play the Facebook, I want to provide relevancy and I want to provide value game. Now, here's the good thing about providing value. Even though we all just want to be direct salesmen and we want to, we don't want to provide any value and we don't want to do shit, right? But it's actually, like I told you in the other video the other day, it's actually pretty cool because you provide a good experience for Facebook. They're happy. And then your prospect is happy, right? So that's a win-win situation because if Facebook is happy and the prospect is happy, that means that you're cha-chinging, you're getting money, and you're happy, right? So everybody's happy in this value situation. But that's not where we're going to go today, is talking about value. The other day, I sent out an email And I posted it up in my Facebook group, and I talked about when I was younger how much I liked wrestling. Okay, and I talked about the Junkyard Dog. If you're on my email list, you got this email, right? And I talked about the power with Vince McMahon and storytelling. Okay, storytelling, and we call it story selling. Okay, just look at it like that. Story selling, right, is probably one of the biggest things that you can do to engage your audience. And you want to learn how to do this, right? And we'll get into how you can do it in a moment, okay? So just stick with me just for a minute. So when I talked about having this 30 cents ads, good ads, the crappy stuff is actually going to be, $1 to $2 a click and shitty traffic. Facebook is trying to encourage you in a negative way to say, hey, listen, we're going to give you some crappy traffic. You need to improve your experience, our user experience here. And they're going to give me the traffic because I'm more relevant. Or they're going to give me shitty traffic and give you better traffic because you're more relevant, right? They want, you got to keep Facebook happy. But again, the way it works is it's actually pretty cool because you get to keep everybody happy. I talked about that. So now that we know what the relevancy score is, okay, and how it can be beneficial to us, I'm going to tell you how you can do it. Now, telling stories is huge, okay? Being able to tell a good story, and you want to know what it's called the hero's journey, okay? Now, hero's journey is there's a dude, his name is Joseph Campbell. He talks about it. There's a link in the description below to a book that you can buy, because now there's a few people that have this and talk about it. The first person that I learned about story selling was from Dagan Smith, okay? He actually did it before Andre Chaperone did it. And Dagan Smith talked about story selling and the hero's journey, and he actually did a class, like a 2-hour-long class with Michael Haig, okay? And Michael Haig is the same person that writes for Will Smith now. Will Smith used Michael Haig's hero's journey for Hitch, okay? And then they've been writing movies together ever since, right? Ever since then. Now, Michael Haig has worked with Dagan Smith and Andre Chaperone to take to show you how to do this digitally, right? But Dagan Smith isn't really available anymore. I believe Russell Brunson has kind of copied it, but he doesn't tell it as well as Dagan Smith. And Andre Chaperone's product is like $1,000. So the best way to do this is get Joseph Campbell's book. The heroes. I have it bookmarked, right? If you Google it, you'll run across the writer's journey, and you can kind of get a good look at how it's supposed to work. Now, what you have to remember is that a hero always starts off, kind of normal and a regular guy, right? And then remember we talked about that J curve, right? So he's going to go through some trials and tribulations, and then he's going to overcome that. That's exactly what the hero's journey looks like, okay? Now, I'm going to give you a very fast way to tell stories online, and how I learned how to do it. I kind of studied story writing myself, right? And so I'm just going to give you a very, very fast, simplified way to tell stories, okay? And then we're going to move on to how this can apply to your Facebook ads. So you're going to have a person or a thing or just your hero, okay? And it could be anything, and I'll tell you a story about that in a moment, right? So it could be a person, it could be a plant, it could be an animal, okay? It could be anything. Whatever that is, this is your hero right here, okay? Your hero is going somewhere, okay? He's going somewhere. He's trying to get somewhere or get something. He's trying to attain something, a person or whatever. And this is going to start sounding familiar. But in between there, something is stopping that person from getting over here. And we're going to use money, right, as the objective here. But it could be a ring, like the Lord of the Rings. Ring a bell? Anyone? Okay, so it could be anything, right? It could be weather, right? So anytime you see remember that one movie that came out that it was like Sharknado, right? That is another story. What's stopping it? The sharks are stopping people from getting from one place to another, right? There's one, I can't think of it right now, but there's one where there's like this, The Day After Tomorrow, I believe it's called, and it's like the weather gets really bad and there's tsunamis and all kind of shit going on. There's always like a volcano that erupts, and it's between the person and getting to freedom or getting to safety, right? So there's always something here that stops the hero's journey, and they have to overcome this problem and fight through it in order to get to what they want. And this over here in the hero's journey is freedom. It's safety. It's the girl and romance, right? There's always something in the middle here that stops the hero, right? And so when you break it down, every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end, okay? Now, when you're talking about a story, and I'm breaking this down for you really quickly, guys, you'd really need to look up the hero's journey and get the gist of it, but I kind of want to teach you how this can work for you. So, you want to have, and in movies, it's called the first act, okay? The second act, okay? And then the third act. Now, they break this down way more than this, but this is the beginning and everything is happening. And if you look at movies, everything's always beautiful and rosy, and they introduce all the characters right here, right? They introduce, if you look at comedies or whatever, like let's say, for instance, it's Ice Cube and Fridays, they introduce the characters, who Ice Cube is, who he worked for, what his family looks like, and what he does every day, and what he's about, and also they always introduce the cute kid, his daughter, and she means everything to him, and you know, he's taking his little girl to school and dropping her off, and I love you, right? That's the first act, right? The second act, always think about the second act as monkey business. Okay, this is where the hero's journey, we have the problem. Houston, we have a problem. Okay, this is where the monkey business is. So now the wife is angry because he was supposed to have showed up for a school's function, and now she's angry and she's taking him to court, and she's gonna stop him from seeing his child, and he's trying to get to, there's something in between him and this recital that he's supposed to go to. If he could just make it to this recital, everything's gonna be fine with him and his daughter and everything, right? So in the second act, everything is going to stop him, Ice Cube, from getting to the recital. And here's where the comedy ensues, right? This is where Kevin Hart comes in, and what's his name? The dude, Day Day or whatever, and Chris Rock, or what's his name? Chris Tucker comes in, and he's smoking weed, and there's all kind of comedy and monkey business going on, stopping them from getting to whatever it is that he needs to get to so he can have custody of his daughter, right? And at the end of the day, he finally makes it past whatever was stopping him, and it's Debo and whoever else trying to stop him and getting thwarted and all this comedic shit, over the top shit that happens in the middle to get him. Finally, he gets in there 2 minutes before the recital starts. His wife looks over and the daughter's happy and everybody shows up, and he gets to spend the time with his daughter, and actually him and his wife make up and they get remarried again, and that's the end, right? That's what the hero's journey, guys, I simplified this. I'm serious. Really do your research. Don't just go by what I'm talking about. But that is basically the first act, the second act, and the third act, right? And every story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. Now, how does this work? You're studying, what the fuck? How does this work to Facebook ads? Well, you've heard it before. There is long copy and there's short copy. And normally how your Facebook ads would work is you would have a photo here, right? And then right below here is a headline and then a call to action and a button, right? And then here you have a little spiel right here, your little spiel, okay? Your little spiel on what you want to say here. And this is your main copy, okay? And normally how this works is what people were doing before is long copy they would write here for a more of a commitment. So if you had a product on the other side of this ad that either cost an insane amount of money, right? Or if it's a webinar, and that webinar, at the end of that webinar, you're going to be asking for, $500 or $600. You need to write some long copy here to pre-sell. Okay? You need to write some long copy here to pre-sell them before they get to your page so they can understand what type of commitment they're going to be making. Okay? Now, here's the thing. This is where working with long copy versus short copy comes in. With short copy, if all you're going to do is ask them to go grab a PDF, then you don't really need to write such a long piece of copy. And that's what we're doing before. But shit has changed over at Facebook, right? And if you just go ahead and look at the statistics, and I've done this here recently, I posted up some stuff with some really long copy, right? Where I had a bunch of shit up here and then I had a photo. Well, I had a higher relevancy score, I noticed, right? I've never had relevancy scores down in the 3s or the 4s or the 5s or anything like that. But always getting a 10 was something that was really nice, right? So I started writing stories and providing tons of value in my copy. And I noticed that I started getting higher relevancy scores and my cost per click went down. Now, so telling this story, and if you look at all of the guys that are out there telling stories, look at Todd Brown's ad, look at Mike Dillard's ads, look at even Russell Brunson ads, look at Anik Singh's ads. If you just look at all of our competitors that are out there, or people that are my competitors that are out there, look at they have very long copy, right? Everybody has a super long copy. Now, not everybody is using the hero's journey, but I noticed the people that are enjoying a lot of comments in there. And what happens is, let me show you how the ad is built. So once you've built the ad for so long, they're going to have a read more, right? So you're going to see the ad's going to be broken down. So they're going to have a little bit of copy here, and then you're going to have a read more, okay? And then you notice sometimes you'll just get it to click open, but then they'll have a little bit more copy and then they'll have another read more. Well, sometimes that takes you to a whole nother page and you can read the entire shit, right? And it'll be some long ass hero's journey. That's really important, right? That's what you really need to understand is people engage with stories. They're used to watching these Ice Cube films. They're used to watching even reality shows. Everybody's rooting for somebody, right? And I wanted to tell you about this again. How many villains do you like? Okay? There's villain stories that people love. Some people like the villain. We've had movies that you've watched, I'm sure you like I am, where you want the villain to win. And sometimes they do. Right? And you're like, yeah, we wanted the villain to win because they've intertwined the villain with a heartfelt story. Why the way he is or the way he's become a villain has only been because of way maybe society has treated him, or it wasn't his fault, and he's been through hard knocks, and he's a reluctant villain. He really doesn't want to be a villain, right? And I can give you a really quick story about that. There was a recent movie called Baby Driver, okay? And it had Jamie Foxx and one of my favorite actors, what is his name? He plays in the House of Cards. What is that guy's name? Yeah, Kevin Spacey, right? So, and it's called Baby Driver. And Kevin Spacey is a bad guy, okay? And he does bank jobs, okay? And the baby, his name is Baby, and he's a driver, and he's a kid that's driving. And he did something a long time ago that was really bad to Kevin Spacey, and he ends up owing him a bunch of favors. So he's a reluctant villain, because he's got to drive on all these bank jobs because he owes. But he's got one last job to do. Remember, here we go with something that's coming between him and freedom, right? So he's got one last job to do for the bad guy, which is Kevin Spacey, and he can stop driving and doing bad things again. And of course, there's a girl over here in interest, so he's trying to get the freedom and the girl, right? And in between there's Jamie Foxx that's in there, and a couple other actors or whatever that are bad guys. And Jamie Foxx is in the way, getting in between him and freedom and the girl, right? But he's a villain. He's a bad guy. In the end, you feel for this guy because he doesn't want to be a bad guy, right? So even though he's a villain, he's made up to be a hero, right? So it doesn't always have to be a good guy. It just needs to be a story between there was something holding you up. So how do you apply this to your digital marketing, right? Well, you've had different things to get in between you and what you want, which is freedom, your freedom lifestyle. Just like me, I want to have a freedom lifestyle, and there are things that are getting in the way. And how did you overcome that, right? That's a part of your hero's journey. So learn how to tell stories, guys. Statistics tell, stories sell. Right? So just remember that. All right. And it's very important that you get this whole story selling thing, right? If you want to have recurring revenue, if you want people to resonate with you, then don't tell a bullshit story. Tell a real story of what you've actually been through and how that has gotten you to make you the person you are today, right? And it could be anything, like, that can have made you who you are today and why you do some of the things that you do. Tell those stories in your ad copy. Pre-sell them before they get to your page. Once they get to your landing page, they're in a better place. Facebook is happy again. Remember, I did this yesterday. Facebook is happy. Your audience is happy, which means that you're going to be happy, right? In the long run, right? So everybody's happy at the end of the day. Coffee break.